Reinforcement Steel Plant is located in Germany, Drobawa Kronexa Steel Plant is in Poland, and the Gijon Steel Plant is in Spain. Ferrara Ammonia Plant in Italy makes fertilizer. Because of the high energy costs, which have quadrupled in the past year, partly as a result of the invasion of Ukraine, all these various factories have curtailed their output or been turned off. It casts doubt on the industry's ability to survive and have an viable business case in Europe. Additionally, due to the European sanctions and Russia's export quotas, Europe is rapidly decoupling from Russia. It is something that might jeopardize Europe's standing in the international economy. So, would the European economy survive without Russia? Let's begin by examining the European Union and its role in the global economy. Minerals and raw materials used in the production of items like computers, as well as petroleum products and other raw materials, are its key imports. On the other hand, it exports goods with a high level of value, such as those used in the chemical and pharmaceutical industries, the automobile industry, and the manufacture of precision machinery. These industries are among the most energy and raw material intensive economic sectors for the chemical industry. In 2020, the cost of the finished good accounted for up to 20% of the total cost. One of the greatest consumers of steel is the automotive industry, whose production is likewise closely related to energy prices. Consequently, rapidly available and affordable energy is crucial to the most significant sectors in Europe. And Russia stepped in, contributing 25% of Europe's oil needs, 40% of its natural gas imports, as well as 46% of its coal. Despite the geopolitical issues, Central and Eastern Europe is particularly dependent on Russian gas. Being almost totally dependent on it, this strategy made sense in terms of sustainability and the economy. So much so that a number of EU nations, especially Germany and Italy, built their entire industrial strategy for the ensuing decades in relation to the European Green Deal on the assumption that low-cost natural gas would come from Russia. However, since Russia invaded Ukraine, both the West, which wants to cut off Russia's main source of funding through sanctions, and Russia, which wants to force the West to the bargaining table as a result of the sanctions, have turned these imports into weapons. Beginning in August 2020, Europe will gradually stop importing Russian coal, and by the end of 2022, most of Russia's income from energy imports come from these resources, which are relatively simple to replace. However, natural gas, for which Europe has no direct substitutes, was amped up until Russia began restricting and cutting off supply to Europe. How does this affect Europe then? Well, the main uses of natural gas are to power industry, generate electricity, and heat households. We can see it there if we compare it to where the gas is coming from. Russia gradually cutting off the gas delivery, so the figures don't add up. At a time when it ought to be restocking them in preparation for the winter, Europe is drawing from its storage stocks. Europe is being forced to solve a challenging equation as a result. The International Energy Agency estimates that it might be possible to reduce this dependency by up to a third in the near future. In order to divert natural gas from power generation to other uses, Europe is restarting coal and possibly even nuclear reactors. Additionally, with imports from the United States having quintupled, it is bringing in all the liquid natural gas it can. In addition, the EU's Repower initiative is promoting energy efficiency spending in advance of this winter. Out of the 140 billion cubic meters of the gas supplied from the Russia, if we combine together these various measures, Europe may find substitutes for 63 billion cubic meters or 45% of the total. Because of this, even if Europe adopts these measures and Russia completely cuts off its gas supply, it won't have enough gas for about 25% of this year. Russia wants to use this as leverage to force Europe and consequently Ukraine to the negotiating table. Thus, it raises the possibility of shortages and energy restrictions. Some European manufacturers have either reduced production or shut down completely, forcing Europe to choose between heating its homes and powering its industries. Also, if the war is won, it is improbable that Europe would halt its decoupling from imports of Russian energy. But in short term, this poses two significant problems: a lack of infrastructure and a scarcity of resources. One problem is that there are not enough terminals for liquid natural gas. On the one hand, there are simply not enough liquid natural gas terminals, and they can only meet 40% of the demand at the moment. And to make matters worse, Russian pipelines increase narrower as they travel further west, making it challenging to use liquid natural gas terminals to transport gas eastward. In order to address this issue, European nations are constructing more LNG facilities and new pipelines to enhance connection throughout the continent. The construction of them, however, will take at least 2 years, during which time Europe would experience a serious energy shortage. Additionally, in order to make up for the shortfall, European leaders have made deals with African leaders to buy natural gas from nations like Algeria, Qatar, and the US. However, due to the limited supply, rising demands, and suppliers' concern about over-investing and the length of time required to establish new supply chains, these factors are not in their favor. Energy constraint in Europe will persist, which will restrict investment growth and industry's capacity to produce the chemicals and automobiles that are essential to the region's export-dependent economy. However, it won't be long before Europe and gradually replace Russian energy, and this change is probably going to have some long-term effects. Costs of energy are projected to stay higher than they were due to limited investment and increased demand as the globe moves away from coal, particularly in Europe. Additionally, these expenses will rise as a result of the need to ship natural resources from farther away locations rather than from the east. Energy imports will come from the south of Europe, which is closer to the gas reservoirs in North Africa and the Middle East, as well as from west, where the United States will emerge as a significant energy provider for Europe. The inexpensive energy sources that Europe formerly obtained from Russia will effectively be cut off from your influence there. These long-term patterns will have a number of outcomes. One is the increased use of clean technologies and the deployment of renewable energy as a means of lowering Europe's reliance on imported energy. The viability of Europe's commercial model, however, is at stake due to a catch. Natural gas was expected to be the catalyst for this movement toward clean technology. Initially, it was planned for green steel and green cement to use the hydrogen produced by natural gas as a stepping stone. Furthermore, the new situation will simply drive up the cost of the resources that Europe presently uses and will need in the future, because It is both specialized and the global leader in energy intensive industries that are already working under conditions of high energy prices. The pressure to relocate these businesses to countries with cheaper and more plentiful energy supplies, such as the US, where energy costs are structurally lower, could be great. So, guys, this was for today. Give us your thoughts on this in the comment section. And if you appreciate our content, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Share this video with your family and friends. We will meet you in a new video. Thank you. Jai Hind.